Hello again, it's Scott Jansen. This will be a quick video in regards to an interesting email I received just before. And the email read, I won't talk about who wrote the email. I was going to reply this in an email, but I thought this was so it had some important content that I'd rather everyone hear, because I know I get this question a lot, which is, if you read the old literature, or if you are more classically trained in hypnosis, it is said that you need to do anywhere between 4 to 6 sessions for a smoker, or for weight loss, or for anxiety. And it's most commonplace. A lot of our students are doing their sessions in maybe 1 to 2, sometimes not even taking an hour to overcome major phobias. And this, to point out very quickly, is not to say that what they're doing is making you look less sophisticated as a hypnotist. Is definitely not. What our hypnotists are doing a little bit different is then knowing what content to work with. They can quickly decipher between what is conscious information and what is more unconscious information. And if you look back over our videos, we chatted about that previously. So what do I mean by this? Well, to put it simply, if you spend more time talking to the unconscious mind and less time getting distracted and getting sucked in by conscious content, you should ideally be able to do your sessions quicker. And you should ideally be able to do your session in less time. The reason why a lot of hypnotists do have to see their client 4 to 6 times, not to say it's wrong, and sometimes even our therapists will need that. We're not all superheroes. Sometimes we need more than less. But what I want you to realize is that if you're seeing your client 4 to 6 times, probably the most common reason for this is because you're getting sucked into conscious information. You're working on conscious conclusions. Now, what I mean by conscious conclusions? If a client says they're a smoker and they want to quit, that is a conclusion to what's happening at the unconscious level. Yes, they are a smoker. Yes, they are smoking. But why? What is driving them to smoke? What are the triggers? What is the root cause, if you will? What is everything that this person is experiencing that makes them think that smoking was the best option? You look at the conscious conclusion as more a state of convenience. So what happens when a client comes in? This is the analogy. It definitely worked for me when I was first learning this. When I got taught this, this was a big aha moment for me. When a client comes in and sits down and you say, what's the problem? I want you to keep this in your back of your mind. They're going to say something like this. Well, I'm experiencing X in my life. And this is them saying I'm feeling something at an unconscious level. I think it's this. So they consciously assume what they think is occurring. And because what I'm thinking here, I'm doing this to try and help. And that's the analogy. That's what we keep in the back of our mind to make it simple to realize that when a client comes in, we almost need to think, whatever you're telling me right now, you have no idea what you're talking about. You might be saying, well, hang on, Scott, my client does smoke. They want to quit. Yes, of course they do. But if we're fixing the stop smoking, if we're fixing the idea of wanting to quit, what are we left with? The idea of smoking is a conscious conclusion of what's happening unconscious. How can a client's conscious mind penetrate the mysteries of the unconscious mind unless they're in trance? So think about it like this. If you have a client quit smoking, what are they left with? Well, they're left with all the emotional leverage of the unconscious. So let's say we find out through questioning that a client gets really, really stressed. And the only way they could deal with stress in that situation was to smoke. If we just deal with the smoking and say, all right, you're a non-smoker now, what are we left with? We're left with all the stress at work or in a certain situation. But if we take care of the stress in the other situation, the smoking will take care of itself. Now, why would this be the case? It's because it's no longer needed. It's because the unconscious mind has found a better way to deal with stress that's even beyond smoking. And that's what we're aiming for. This is the difference between working with an unconscious problem compared to the conscious conclusion. And if you find yourself doing these 4 to 6, sometimes 10 sessions for smoking, and if that's the way you do it, fine. If you're getting results, even better. That's what we're here for, to get ultimate results. These videos are more just tips and hints that you can keep in the back of your mind. So if you're doing these 6 to 10 sessions, whatever the case may be, it's probably because you're rehearsing and going over that conscious problem over and over. Think about it yourself. Have you sent a client away that's been a smoker? A couple of days later, they come back and say, I'm smoking again. And then you do the session again. You send them away. They come back and say, no, I'm smoking again, or I'm smoking more. It's because you're working on the wrong part of their mind. You're working on the wrong conclusion. You're working on the wrong problem. If you take a step back and explore all the ins and outs of that problem, you'll simply realize what is happening at an unconscious level. You'll find out the triggers. You'll find out the root cause. You'll find out everything. And it enables you to do problems quicker. And you could actually find out the root cause or the construct of the problem in the first couple of questions if you follow all those unconscious moments like we talked about previously. And that's why we do that. We spend more time in an unconscious land, or the unconscious world, if you will, or talking to the unconscious mind. The less conscious conclusions come out, the less bullshit comes out from our client, the less I think it's this, it could be that, or it might be this comes out of our client, and all the things that drives them consciously gets taken care of. Why? Because there's no need for it. That trigger doesn't get triggered in the same way, which means our clients don't have to deal with it in the same way. And there's another point I want to make on top of this as well, to add to your success as a hypnotist. Think about it like this. If your client comes to see you as a smoker, they have probably tried many times before to quit, which means that each time they fail at quitting the time that they want to quit, and believe me, when a client wants to quit, they'll want to quit. Every time they fail, they're adding to the problem. That list of failures is getting longer and longer and longer and longer. So to keep that in mind, is every time we send our client home after one session, that we say you've got to come back for a second session, you've got to come back for a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Each time you send your client home as a non-smoker, you are adding to that list of failures. We are basically saying to a client, you don't have it in you to quit in one session, or you don't have it in you to quit in 2 sessions. You don't have it in you to quit at 3 sessions. We have done amazing things as human beings. We have done sophisticated things that would blow you away. You've probably done this for yourself. You could look at a problem that you once had and think, wow, how the hell did I get past that so quickly? It's because you relied more on your unconscious mind doing it for you. And you probably have no idea how you got over it. And that's why it happened so quickly. So as soon as you start booking your client for more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sessions, if be, you are sending your client home a failure each time. And you're making your job harder as a hypnotist, because each time they come back, you're now dealing with an extra failure. You're now dealing with less motivation. And you may have found this yourself. I have some colleagues who work in that way, and that's fine. But the most common question they ask me, or the most common problem they run into, which is, I see my client 6 times, by the 4th or 5th session, they're not coming back. I never hear from them, and they're still smoking, and they go see another hypnotist. And this can be why. The more you include that failure into your sessions, or the way you do a stop smoking session, or anxiety, or weight loss, whatever the case may be, you are adding to the failure. So how do you get past this? Well, there's many ways. The easiest way, and the offer advice I could give you here, is to deal with more of the unconscious mind. Stop getting sucked into conscious thinking. Stop getting sucked into conscious conclusions. And realize in the back of your mind, your clients have the capability to overcome a major lifelong phobia in minutes if you allow their unconscious mind to give you all the content they need. One of the easiest ways to go into a session, as I've stated this oftentimes before, do not prepare. All you need to know is where to start first. What's the first question you could ask? Collect enough content from your client, make a story or a metaphor or a confusion type strategy or whatever they want to use, or an Ericksonian approach, a learning story, whatever the case may be. Use their content. It's more accepted, and it means you're starting to use valuable unconscious information to resolve a client's problem. So if you find your clients are spending 4 to 6 sessions with you, this could be why. This could be one of the major cases. It's because you keep solving the conscious problem. And if you do that, you're always leaving the unconscious problem untouched. Work with the unconscious problem, the conscious conclusion will take care of itself. So that's all for now. It's quite a bit of information. Hope this helps. If you do have any questions, please get in contact with me. We run certifications all throughout Australia. We're the Conversational Hypnosis Academy. My name is Scott Jansen. You can drop me an email at info@conversationalhypnosis.com. And if you have any questions about anything we've talked about in these previous videos or this video, please don't hesitate to get in contact with us. Bye for now. Good luck with your success.